Hey everybody, welcome back to Freedom Algo. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Still just got back, so give me a second to chart everything out here. So let me see. I haven't marked up a bunch of this space over here yet, so bear with me. Bear with me. Alright, so I had this wide channel drawn as a possibility, but it doesn't look like it's gonna... Doesn't really look like it. I mean, I guess you could maybe argue that that is creating an even wider channel like that, but it just looks ridiculous if you do that. I don't know that you could make that argument. I mean, I guess we could draw it on there as a possibility, but it looks kind of ridiculous. Happy Friday. Good to have you here, Jarvis. So, I'll draw a temporary... Give me a second to just see. Yeah, it's not really much to go off of there. I mean, maybe if it holds here, then maybe. But it's starting to look like it's just going back into a range here, so... Not a whole lot there. Give me a second here. I'll wait for everybody to get in here before I start getting into all the price action. Because if I start going over all the trades or all the setups of the day or how the trend lines were and everything, I don't want people to have to rewind. So I'm just going to give it a couple of seconds here. A couple of minutes, I mean. So we'll get that. You could draw a channel here as a possibility. I don't think it's very feasible, but... Alright, we'll draw it as a possibility. It really just looks to me like close outside, couple legs to new high. I mean, I don't really think you could argue for that too much, but... We could put it there. Shrink that down a little bit. Oh, it's going to try to move on me if I do that. Let's put it like that. That should be fine. Alright, so... I'm going to zoom out, go back to the beginning. Here, let me zoom way out for a second. Basically, if you look at the day, this is what it looks like. So, price closed here yesterday. We didn't get back to this in the regular session, so it looks like we're trying now, this brown line. This is the overnight low. This was originally kind of like the overnight high, which was this blue line. And so that was originally the range I drew, but then we broke through the top, had a trend up, closed outside, made a new high. We had a new high here, equal high, and then finally made an actual new high above the equal high. Then we reversed down and we kind of turned into this bearish move. We had a little range for a minute, but we broke through the bottom twice and then finally went all the way back down. So I eventually raised my range high to the up here, to these levels. So that's my highs, this is my lows. It's overall just a range day that had a move to the highs, and now we're making a move back towards the lows. That's really it. Pretty simple. A lot of price action in the middle, near the midline of the range. And that's what you expect on a range day anyway. Not a ton of setups. Literally see 2 good setups. There's maybe some other ones, but I just didn't think they were good enough. So I'm going to get into those. If you got questions, as always, just drop them in the chat. Alright, let's get into it here. So, first things first, you have a trend up, close outside, new high. Then you have a trend down, close outside, new low. Then you have a slight range. There's really tight range here. Not really much you can do with a range like this. You just have to wait because it's kind of just consolidation. Breaks through the bottom and runs all the way down. All the way down in the overnight. Makes a new low and then reverses aggressively. There's not even a break lower till all the way up here. Like, this is a new low, and the first entry short is all the way here. This is actually a second entry short right here. So, like, if you wanted to be extremely aggressive, you could take this. I didn't mark it originally because I don't want to confuse people, but you could take this as a second entry short and a possible failed breakout. Because at the time, you would have had this as your high, basically. Like that. The problem is, look what you're doing. You're shorting right into the level. Like, it's not breaking back inside. So it's super risky. The only thing is, though, it's only a 5-tick candle. So if you do take the trade, you're going to have like a 7-tick stop loss. So it might be worth it to some people. I don't think it's a good trade overall. I think you really need a decent lower high back inside, and you don't really get one. You kind of get a lower high here, but it's not very good. It's not a good signal bar. And then you get this equal high. You could kind of use that, but still not very good. It's not very convincing. So I just sat out. So anyway, you could argue that this is a setup here. I'm not taking that usually. It just wasn't good enough for me. Okay, so then you get a first entry, second entry long that fails. You don't want to take that either direction with how it forms. You get this little move down, first entry, second entry long from this high. So you actually do get a second entry long here. Debatable, because now you're back inside and you're basically just taking a long in the middle of nowhere. So I just don't think it's worth it. Yes, it does move higher, but I just think it's not really a setup that you want to take. From this low, there's a first entry, second entry short that fails right here. Again, you're playing with fire with where you are. You're in the middle of no man's land. So it's just not worth it. Now this thing just keeps going and there just isn't any trades in here. They're all first entries. And it's kind of a strong trend, but not really. It's not good enough for me to treat it like a strong trend where you just take first entries. It's just not quite. It was close to turning into one of those, but there really isn't any first entries off the key entry point by the time it really formed, because this is when it started to look like a strong trend up here, and you just don't get a good setup. There is a first entry, second entry long there, but you're longing the highs. Not a good idea. Fails. This is just a first entry. I wanted to see if we could get a second entry right here to go to the new high, but didn't happen. Just a first entry short, first entry long, first entry short. It's just like that all day. Finally, from here, you do get a pullback, first entry, pullback. This is a nice looking second entry long. The only problem is you have a downtrend in play and it closes below this level. So even though it looks like a failed breakout and a second entry long, it's too risky. But this one is nice because now you broke out the bottom and then you go up and you actually get a first entry short. And then people went long here on this bullish bar and they're trapped. It ticks up and reverses on them. So if you went short below this bar as a second entry short, it's a lower high and second entry short. You don't have a lot of room to the low here, but I think you have enough. Yeah, you definitely have enough to get a scalp. So it's reasonable and it's a nice trade and I like it. And that one does give you a little bit of a runner. Not a huge runner, but you probably get a little bit of a runner there. Depending on what happened, because it came back here. So you can get a little runner down to here, but you probably just get a scalp there. Decent setup. I like it. I do like it. So that's a good one. And let's see. What else do we get? Because the new high was made. So that's also why that's a good one. All right. Then we run down and we get a first entry, second entry short, but the signal bar is bullish or neutral at least. Nothing in here. Nothing in here. Finally, we're coming down. At this point, you could draw a wider down channel. Now, it's not confirmed, but the midline is in play. We come right off the midline here, and we basically get a first entry short, and this kind of creates a second entry short all in one candle. That's kind of like a lower high. These are inside bars, though, so I don't love it, but it's there, so I marked it. Like, if you're trying to be aggressive today, it's there. I don't think you should be aggressive on a Friday, but there it is. Then you have a first entry, second entry short here. But I think that you have a little channel in play. I don't think you can take that. It is a triple test. I just don't think that it's safe. And you can see what happens. It's not really. It goes up. Second entry long there, but you're not looking for longs. Second entry short, but bullish signal bar / neutral signal bar. First entry. There's a second entry short all in one bar here, but it doesn't even break below. So you can't take anything below that. You would just cancel your order. If this one broke below, it probably would have went lower, but it didn't happen. It did kind of look like maybe an overshoot there, so it's hard to say. Because we never really did confirm the upside of the channel. All right, so now we're up here. First entry. There's a second entry long here failing, but I don't think you want to take that because it just got to close outside new low. So that's pretty much it. Like, there's really not a lot of setups today. It's a pretty slow day. And that's going to be like that sometimes. So if you got questions, drop them in the chat. And thanks, everybody, for being here. I'll wait a second, see if we got some questions. What was I? Oh, there we go. Okay. I'll be right back to look at the questions. I'm just checking something on my other screen, so just bear with me a second. Okay, cool. Cool. All right. So this week, yesterday was probably the best trading day of the week in terms of just number of setups and whatnot. Today, there was one other day this week that was really just slow as well. There's a couple days this week that were pretty slow action. This is what you expect in December. December is historically pretty slow month for price action. It's just the way it goes. People are taking vacations, taking time off. So that's just the way it is. There's still setups to be had. You just have to be very patient and just don't force anything. Sometimes in December like this, some days you also get these days like this where there's actually a lot of movement up and down. But unfortunately, the way the setups form just weren't really ideal. And you don't want to be taking questionable stuff on a Friday. Sure way to lead yourself into tilt. By the way, if you're wondering how I do everything, if you want to learn more, check the link in the chat and the description for the Freedom Algo community. This is where it is. There's a 7-day free trial, so you can join, test it out for 7 days. There's a video here that explains everything. It's all in here. But again, it's a 7-day free trial. It's everything that I do. Give me a second here. We're listening to my music, by the way, if anyone's wondering. I have to look at something on my other screen real fast. So just bear with me. All right, cool. Cool, Callan. Okay, yeah. Okay, good. So, real quick, there's a community tab in here, and you can see here's today. You can just see, like, throughout the early session, I'm charting things out so you can follow along in real time. You can see the calendar that has our schedule of how we do everything. I am doing lives on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but they're on Zoom, so they're more like coaching style calls. So that's always been, that's always good. And then, of course, we got the classroom. Everything's in here. Full course, all of it. It's all in here. So if you want to check it out, go for it. By the way, is the like counter not working, or do we just have no likes? Sometimes it doesn't work properly, so let me just double check. Everyone smash the like button real quick so I can make sure that we're not busted. Oh, I think we're busted. Here, give me a second to fix that. Hang on. What is going on with that? See if I can fix it. Whoops. Hang on, give me a second to look on my other screen. The like counter is busted. We are fully busted. Might be able to fix it. We're gonna try. Oh, you know what? It might just be totally busted. All right, it's scuffed. Like counter is scuffed. Scuffed and broken. We'll shut it off. Scuffed and broken. All right. Quiet chat today. Quiet chat today. Not a lot to say, really, outside of what we already went through in the price action. So I'll wait and see if anybody has any other stuff to go over. Otherwise, we might have a little bit of a shorter stream today. You know? Not a lot going on, so that's what it is. That's what it is. Oh, one thing I do want to say is that next week, on Friday, I believe, the stream will be an hour later than normal. Like at like 10 a.m. Pacific. Because I got something going on in the morning that's going to take me away from things for a little bit. I'm almost positive. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be at 10. Not a big deal, but just letting everyone know. Be a little bit later. What the? Give me 1 second. I gotta check something real quick. Give me 1 second. Hey, sorry, I just had to check something real quick. All right, so what are the short-term trend line corrections for? I don't understand the question. What do you mean by that? Please elaborate. Love Tro, you asked what are the short-term trend line corrections? I don't understand the question. I don't really understand the question. All right. I'll wait for you to ask that. Give me 1 second. I gotta check on something again real quick. Hang on, I'm gonna... All right. Still waiting for you to... Love Trill, still waiting for you to let me know what's... to ask your question a different way, because I just don't understand what you're asking me. All right, if anybody else has questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. Alright, I guess maybe he left. I don't know. He asked a question. I wasn't sure what he meant, and then maybe he left. Anybody else have any questions or anything that you want to know about the price action today, or just in general? Alright, well, in that case... I think I'll probably just wrap up early. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. I might just wrap up early because it doesn't look like people have much questions. Overall, it's been a pretty good week. Pretty good week. There's been a lot of slowness this week, but that's normal December activity. That's how the market is, but... All right, let's see. Jarvis. On a strong uptrend, when it breaks out of the top, what do we expect next? Well, it depends on if it's actually an overshoot or not. So, no. Well, if it's a strong uptrend like this, it's not usually going to break out of the top. If it does, then it either means that you need to widen the channel a little bit to account for it and see if it still fits and is reasonable, or it's an overshoot. And but that's going to come at your discretion as a chart reader. So if it's an overshoot, then typically it's going to reverse and go out the other side about as far as the overshoot went, and then it's still going to get a move to a new extreme. If it's not an overshoot and it just keeps grinding and it looks like that, it might just be that the top of the channel is wider. So it's really just those are the options. You wouldn't draw like a new trend off of it. You would just widen your channel typically. Make sure the midline still fits. But if it's an overshoot, then that's different. If it's an overshoot, then you just expect it to come back the other way. Same thing with like a downtrend like this. Here, let's see if we can find... There's not really very many good examples right now, but, you know, like this one broke a little lower. I don't know if that's really an overshoot. It probably wasn't. It probably just was a little bit of a wider channel. That's kind of the same idea. Overshoots are usually pretty obvious by how they react. All right, everyone. I'm going to wrap up here because it's just... not really. The price action is just grinding now in a tight little thing. There's not much to talk about here. Not a lot of questions coming in. So we'll just wrap up our Friday early. I hope everybody had an amazing week. I'll be back to do a live stream on YouTube on Monday. And then, of course, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I do live streams, but only in my school community. So if you want to check that out and do a trial, you can check that out in the chat and the description. And everybody, I hope you have an amazing weekend. I appreciate you all, and I hope you have an amazing weekend. Take care, everybody.